Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Julian Hermiz. I'm with Harman. I'm here today to talk about the selection of VIgrade as our partnership for a driver simulation solution. So just a quick overview of what I'm going to be talking about, a little bit of an introduction about myself, my background at Harman, a little bit about Harman itself, the new automotive strategy that we're currently working on at Harman, and then with that new strategy, obviously there's a new set of needs, and obviously I'm here today to talk about some of those needs and the selection process and why we ended up with VIgrade. And then lastly, a little bit of a sneak preview into what exactly we're working on. So a little bit about myself. I joined Harman back in 2010 as a validation engineer focused on Bluetooth and connectivity. A couple of products here that are pictured are ones that I worked on, a couple of Chrysler systems at the time, Toyota system, and then eventually moving over to system engineering. And within that role, I was working on the Subaru program, the passenger display for Stellantis, and then taking over as manager for the Stellantis R1 program. And then about a year ago, I moved over to system engineering for the next-gen team. And the focus for that is looking forward for newer projects and newer ideas within Harman. So with that background, I think it's pretty clear. My focus and my interest has always been software test and vehicle-level integration. So a little bit about Harman. I think most of you probably already know some of this, but we're divided up into three divisions: an automotive division, lifestyle division, which is our consumer and professional lines of speakers and things like that, and then our digital transformation division. It's about 30,000 employees all over the globe, and we've been continuously growing since I've been a part of the company. But the automotive division is one I'm mostly familiar with, and it's provided automotive different solutions for just about every automotive, every OEM that you can think of in some regard. It'd be a car audio, digital cockpit solutions, telematics, cloud services, or combinations of those items. And then around 2017, we were acquired by Samsung, and that introduced a whole new world of possibilities for us. So the automotive strategy originally was more of a project-focused approach, where we kind of built projects almost from scratch, where we're driven by customer requirements. All the specifications and everything were coming from the customer, deadlines, all of that. And this is how it was for quite a while, even for a few years after being acquired by Samsung. Then recently, a new approach was added where we're more of a product focus, where we add a product focus to our strategy, where we're not necessarily tied to a customer in a lot of our teams, where we're developing products internally. And a lot of this focuses around leveraging Samsung to create some synergy there and drive some innovation within Harman. And that's where the idea of consumer experiences automotive grade comes from. This is something you'll see a lot at our tech days, and even looking forward at CES, where we're looking at bringing the consumer experience of consumer electronics, phones, things like that, things that Samsung is typically familiar or comfortable doing or is known doing, but bringing Harman's automotive expertise into it. So with this spawned a whole new introduction of a new portfolio, and a lot of these are being developed internally. Unfortunately, I can't really talk much about them. I'd love to, but you'll be able to see some of these once we unveil some of them at CES. But the goal is basically develop these internally, get them to a point where they're ready to go for production, and then showcase actual working products to our OEM partners rather than concept demos or prototypes. So with this new strategy, there's a new set of needs. So being able to do more testing early on, I think we've talked about that quite a bit this morning, and more frequently, and then also being able to bring these products to market much faster. So the next point is a need for repeatability and control. In my particular role, there's a lot of drive testing and a lot of features that rely on external actors, things like blind spot warning, forward collision warning, which all have factors outside of the driver or outside of the vehicle that we're testing in. And then being able to control the environment conditions themselves, so being able to do night driving, driving in the rain, things like that, all have factors in testing our systems, our digital cockpit solutions, for example. And then lastly, something new to Harman with this product approach is an emphasis on user experience studies. So a lot of those user experience studies typically were spearheaded by our OEM partners. They would generate like a UI requirements or an HMI spec based on a lot of that information, and then we kind of work off of that. Now, the fact that we're working on products internally means that we need to bring in that kind of user experience studies and things like that into Harman itself. And of course, to be able to do that, can't really put any average person on the road, have them test a prototype and hope that they can do it safely. So really need to avoid that part of it. So we had a clear list of needs, and then we also had a kind of a list of requirements that we needed to figure out who we're going to work with for a driver simulation solution. It's got a fairly high-level list, pretty straightforward, but first and foremost, someone with software and hardware expertise. In this case, I'm referring to, obviously, the driver simulation software, but also the need for things like the cockpit for driving, projection system, screens, all of that stuff. Secondly, a system that provides simulated sensor data. So our systems rely heavily on things like CAN, GPS positioning, IMU data, things like that. So we needed a system that could feed that into our products so that we could accurately test and be able to determine whether we're ready to be able to be integrated into a vehicle environment. Third point is real-world location data. Now this is more of a want, not necessarily a need, but in the case of navigation systems, for example, we wanted simulation that had real-world environments so that we could test things like turn-by-turn navigation or POI data or what have you, things that are tied to the real world. So being able to find someone that has a simulation that has digitized locations was an important point for us. The next, obviously, a well-documented SDK. So to be able to get all this data, there needs to be some kind of development, some kind of glue logic to be able to take in the data from the simulator, feed it into our system as sensor data, and then be able to, again, test this. And then, of course, active technical and on-site support. Documented SDK is great. However, we're always going to have questions, and we're always going to want to work with someone that would be able to quickly, resolve any kind of issues or help us debug anything, since we're fairly new to this. And then, last but not least, obviously, competitive pricing. Anything to be able to make the pill an easy one to swallow for our senior management to be able to invest in something like this. So that was our selection process. Internally at Harman, we met with quite a few different driver simulator companies and came to the conclusion that VIgrade was the best fit for us. And the reasons listed here, I can talk about them pretty quickly. I think a lot of this has already been kind of talked about this morning as well, but VIgrade provides a complete solution, which makes it extremely easy for us to be able to take it and run with it, and it reduces the complexity of having to work with multiple suppliers to get the different pieces of equipment. So the idea of being able to find software, a cockpit system, screens, projectors, everything, all from one supplier, made it a very appealing option. Secondly, WorldSim provides simulated data that we're looking for. So for the examples of speed, for speed lockout or positioning with GPS or even IMU data, we can use that to mimic real-world driving conditions to allow our system to, reflect as if it were really on the road. Thirdly, the real-world location data. We've seen from WorldSim that there's a number of real-world locations that have been adopted into the simulated environment. One easy solution is the M-City. I think you've seen maybe a lot of demo videos of this, but we're actively using that to showcase a lot of our new products, being able to put the user into a vehicle or a buck setup to be able to sit there and see a car driving around through M-City and seeing our system behave in such a way that they're actually driving, be it forward collision warnings, blind spot warnings, speed data, like I said, POIs, anything like that. Well-documented SDK. So we needed to get this up and going very quickly, and fortunately, based on the example data and the documentation from WorldSim, it was very easy to get this going. It was small celebration in the office when my team was able to get that kind of connection going and being able to see the speed indicator on our system actually, react to the recorded drive that we had. And then, like I said, the active technical and on-site support. So we've been working with VIgrade very closely. In fact, some of the team here I've been meeting with weekly to plan out our installation and setup for the simulation. We've also been working remotely with the European teams, with connecting them to our European teams to be able to build up the simulation solution, which I'll get into in the next slide. And like I said, we met with multiple companies and found that everything that we were looking for here, not only did VIgrade provide, they provided it in competitive pricing at a reasonable price. And again, that's especially now in our current situation, it's very important to be able to come up with these proposals with a reasonable budget. So where did this all lead to? What you're seeing here is actually the phase one of our simulation solution. So this is actually a test vehicle that we've kind of torn up and call our buck with a number of Harman products. What we've got here is a compact setup feeding in real-world data, so the speed, again, GPS data, all of that, into the system. And both are connected using a glue logic that we've developed internally. And what's actually shown here is it's using a route replay, a res replay of M-City. And what we've been able to do in this particular scenario, this was set up in our Garching office, where we hosted a tech day fairly recently, and we've had our OEM partners from Europe come in, and they've been able to kind of get a sneak peek at what we're doing as far as internally developed products, and actually see them in action rather than show them, tailored demo videos or PowerPoint slides that just show kind of screenshots. They're actually able to sit in there and see this in action. Now that's phase two of it. As I said, we've been working very closely with VIgrade on a weekly basis for our phase two, which would be to actually ship out this Volkswagen Golf, get the steering and pedals all integrated so that you can actually go in there and be able to do the drive through whatever location we set. And again, this would be an opportunity to have people come in for user experience studies, be able to give us feedback on, whether what we're developing internally appeals to the end user. And then not only that, but be able to use this for testing internally, being able to control the environment to, have different weather conditions or have different traffic conditions to be able to test all the features that we have developed internally. And then obviously in addition to that, we're going to be adding the large wraparound screen, so we have the static simulator eventually set up in Garching. And down the line, we'll also be looking, once this one is complete, we'll be looking forward to actually having a similar setup in Novi right down the road here. And that'll be for the same reason, but for our North American partners. So it'll be very exciting to be able to kind of bring all of our different products together, our product portfolio, and be able to invite over our OEM partners to showcase everything that we have and actually be able to get hands-on before we're even, integrated into an actual vehicle at the customer's end. So just kind of a little preview into what we've been doing at Harman, and very excited to be working with VIgrade on this. So a little short one today, but thank you.